Welcome to Darker Side of Music Interviews. Today we have the pleasure of being in the company of Andi Sex Gang, the amazing talent behind Sex Gang Children. The band were formed in early 1982 in the UK. So stay tuned to find out more about this incredible band and the talented man behind the band.
May I ask you, what was the first thing you heard? From the SGC ASG camp.
Oh, goodness.
Or the first album? Well, it doesn't matter.
It may have been Sebastian.
Oh, okay.
Either Sebastian or, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but Dici?
Dici, right, yeah. Sebastian tends to be the one that got played around the clubs more, all over the world.
It was, it had a hell of a
I kind of think Dici's more of a club thing, but, you know.
Yeah, but your music, I mean, personal favourite, I know it's a cover, but I was always absolutely addicted to it. The Edith Piaf one you did.
Oh,
Les Amants du Jour. Yeah. Oh my God, I've played that so many times, Andy.
I first heard that when I was a child. My mother had a pretty damn good record collection. Some Edith Piaf. But she had the single, Je ne regrette rien. On this edition, the B-side was the song Les Amants du Jour. And it just hit me. It just cut right through me, and it hit me, and it moved me so much.
Yeah.
And, well, I had no plans to make music at that time. I was only about 5 or 6 or something. And so, you know, but years later, I accidentally heard it again on a tour bus, actually. The guitarist at the time, Terry McClay, he was somewhere in Europe, I think, I don't know. And he had this tape, and then that song came on, and I got, oh my God, I know that song. I remember that song. And I was like, we're going to cover it. and yeah,
you did.
Had to, yeah.
And what an emotional version you did. The emotion through it, through the vocals, and
thank you.
It was just fantastic. I mean, I never thought a song like that would have got hold of me so much, but I have played that song over the years so many times, and I never get fed up with it.
Check out other Edith Piaf material. You know, that woman, her she's one of the greatest vocalists that ever lived. And her timing was impeccable. Passion was undeniable. You know, funny thing, when we first went to Paris to do a show in 1983, it was in this big anarchist place, whatever. They were awful people, you know. They're just like such hypocrites. And the place was a death trap. They let 2 nights there. If the fire marshals had come, they would have closed the place down. We're lucky the place didn't burn down. It was way overpacked both nights, more than the legal amount would have been. And the wiring was so dodgy, I kept getting electrocuted on stage. And yeah, anyway. But a lot of the people, fanzines or whatever, did interviews. They said, oh, we heard you like Edith Piaf. It's like, but that's what our parents like, you know. It's like, yeah, and she's great. She's more punk rock than a lot of the, you know, GBH or Peter and the Test Tube Babies or, you know, so-called punks. Yeah. She's a, you know, she was a punk. She was a rebel spirit. Yeah. She was strong. She was vulnerable. She was all the things that encompass a great human being, and not afraid to live by her passion, by her love, to be strong, allow herself to be vulnerable, not closing down. She just opened herself to life. And that takes an incredibly strong spirit.
It does.
You know?
It does.
And it shows through her music, through her vocals.
It did. And you did her proud on that. I'm really sure of that. Because, I mean, there's so many cover versions that are done of different songs, and there's some very good ones, of course. But that one just resonated through me so much because it was just so damn good. And your voice, yes, it is unique, I would have said. Very unique. But it's unique in a way that puts so much feeling across in the songs. And that particular song I think you put across every feeling that she meant and she wanted in it. You emphasized it there. And it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It's funny, Mick Ronson really liked that single too. And but when we worked together, he produced one of my albums. I had some other track, wanted to do a cover version of something. And I always like to do one cover version on an album. It's like, I'm a fan of so many great artists from the past, you know. And but he wanted to do. He said, no. He said, please. He said, let's redo Les Amours. He liked Piaf anyway. So I trusted him on that. He did it. And I thought he did a fine version too, you know, his production and playing, you know.
Yeah.
But the first one, the single with Cam Campbell, Matthew Amos from House Gang, Jason Abello, playing piano, and Kevin Matthews percussion. It was and drum. It was it just had a purity, a heartfelt innocence. You know, all the members involved.
Yeah,
they you know, I owe everyone played on that such a great, you know, debt of honor. It's like
it was just so unusual. I mean, it was like. It was punk meets almost like French old world style, but I don't know. It was just so many different ways of combining music into this version that just came out wonderful.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. I mean, I don't think you've done a bad song, have you, Andy?
Oh, do you like, what's her name? My head is still a bit fuzzy, you know, after these illnesses. Marianne Faithfull.
Yes.
Right. I'll get Lara to send you, you know, can upload or whatever. I'll send you MP3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Of, or WAV, whatever you want, of the album I did, Faithful Covers, which I was also, you know, she was one of the women I admired and liked as an artist. I'd already done Edith Piaf. Marlene Dietrich would have been too obvious, but I wanted to do an album of covering, and I just saw in those songs, Marianne Faithfull songs, an opportunity to really turn it around and to reinvent each and every one of those songs. I'll send you. I'll get Lara to get you to send the album and
yeah, brilliant.
See what you think.
It's strange you mentioned Marlene Dietrich as well. I mean, I loved her voice as well.
She's great. She was great.
I mean, it's we seem to have a common theme running there. Those three we do like. Yeah, Marianne Faithfull was certainly an artist to be reckoned with. I mean, the music and the lyrics were just out there, weren't they? Really,
I don't think my mother had one of her records. It was one of my older brothers, but my mum did have Johnny Cash. You know, The Other Man in Black, Roy Orbison. You know,
yeah.
And a host of other things. So yeah, I grew up with a very rich heritage of, you know, music, of access to great music from my family, you know.
So what made you get into this style then? The more punk, gothic?
Oh,
call it.
Well, no such thing existed at the time with goth anyway.
Yeah.
When you say punk, well, there's a different. It's not so black and white.
Basically the do your own thing.
Oh, well,
that kind of thing, yeah.
You know, why not do your own thing? DIY. I've always been a big you can rely on less people when you DIY. But and I love the whole attitude of punk.
Yeah.
But I was still in Slough at the time where I was born, which is about 20 miles west of Soho, central London, 12 miles from Chiswick, and satellite town of London. And it was I had a lot of older friends, right? Most of my friends outside of school were older. And I just didn't like it. For me, I saw punk, what the Sun was telling me, the Daily Mirror, and I just thought, I didn't have and an older friend of mine just said, no. He invited me round to his house. He went, sit down, you're going to listen to this. And he played me Nevermind the Bollocks. Now, I wasn't going to hear that on any radio station, right?
No.
And he just went through song by song the whole album, said, listen to the guitars are laid here. Listen to that voice. Listen to and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is absolutely brilliant, But that's it. I think very shortly after the album was released and the other things that were released at the time, punk fizzled. I heard The Clash, first two albums, it's all right. But when I heard London Calling years later, and I turned around to everyone, comrades and friends, and I said, that is their first album, London Calling. This is when The Clash are doing what they really want to do.
Yeah.
Like the Pistols did on Nevermind the Bollocks. Everything that came after Nevermind the Bollocks and the first two Clash albums, The Damned, were just copycats,
Yeah.
They were just jumping on what had become a bandwagon. And that happens with every movement,
It does.
Unfortunately. All it shows is the weakness of people who want to look at an easy route just to be famous or get money,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just copy. It's so much easier for them just to do what the rest are doing.
Well, it's easy, but it's not a true path, is it? And
No.
I've never seen myself as a musician. And making music, I still didn't think, well, I'm now changing from painting, which is what my first expression was since I was a child, to music. I just saw nothing changed. I was still an artist wanting to express, but I just felt music was a much more powerful tool to use.
Yeah.
And it was more multimedia, I mean, for fuck's sake, you can use your own paintings for single covers or album covers. You can use, you can incorporate film with videos. It encompasses all the, and of course, music is the most potent. Music itself is the most potent language. So, it's what the aliens listen to.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right. I mean, and now, especially nowadays, you can mix it all and it's just combines to tell a story, whatever you're trying to put across, so well, because you can, like you said, you can blend it all together and really tell that story, which I love.
It's the same as painting. It's the same. It just depends how you apply yourself. It's all about how you apply yourself. And I've always believed that the worth of what you do, no matter what job it is in life, is about how you conduct yourself in your life.
Yes.
If someone who's not a good human being is not going to be a good doctor or a good teacher.
No, exactly.
Or good whatever.
That is true. And you've had a bit of a tough one, haven't you? Early days, by the sounds of it.
Which part in particular?
Yeah.
It was always an uphill struggle.
Yeah, I mean...
But that's okay.
Lara sent me a little snippet from your book.
Oh, right.
And I was...
Sorry, Mike, hang on.
It's all right.
That's right. Oh, I just turned the phone off.
Yeah, she sent me a snippet from your book, and that really threw me back. Reading that was tough. I mean, the part about the UK and then America, it was like, wow, okay, I didn't know you'd gone through all that.
Hell yeah. But that was just an extension of my life. Same as with childhood, you know. I was not destined to take a back seat, and I just couldn't. If I saw something I didn't like, I would stop it. You know, I would fight against it.
Yeah. Well, that's a great attitude.
It's in my genes. It's all there is to it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a great attitude, but in some ways, it kind of grabs you by the balls sometimes, doesn't it? And
it's not all doom and gloom, though. I mean, it's you know, for example, like to challenge the state, even though you know you're not going to win in the end, but just to give them a run for their money and make them realize that not everyone is afraid. That's a great feeling. And it's like, it doesn't mean to say you can't have fun along the way. Have fun doing it, which I fucking did, believe me. And the same with then the new enemy. I mean, okay, you know, start a new life, music. You know, I just got sick and tired of auditioning all these musicians. And the first question they'd ask would be, yeah, but is it the sort of stuff that major record labels are going to like? And I was like, what the fuck have they got to do with it? What the hell have they got to do with it? You know, it's like, forget the major labels, you know, it's like, it's about music. Listen to the music. It all begins and ends with the music. This is what we do, right? And so when it came to the point where I had to apply myself in other ways with them, it was great. It was fun to do it, you know. Nothing like challenging a whole multi-million-dollar industry and then just making them think twice for a while. They're going to get you in the end, but it's worth everything. Yeah, it really is.
You're pissing them off, and that's the main thing.
Well, it's stopping them in their tracks, at least for a while. And you think, you cannot do this without consequences.
Because they do. They just, I mean, the crap they put out nowadays.
I know. Well, it's come to this, and a lot of musicians are to blame for that. People who jump on bandwagons, the weak link, you know, in the line, the weak chink in the armor. It's like, you know, it's a two-way street. If people just followed, you know, Dolly Parton has got a more punk attitude than a lot of so-called punks, you know.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful interview. When she was blacklisted one time, radio stations wouldn't play her records because they said, well, it's not what young people want to listen to anymore. Country western fans want to listen to. So all across America, young country western fans standing outside these radio stations saying, yes, we're young, we're country western fans, and we do want to listen to Dolly Parton. And because the major label industries were, they wanted to promote Garth Brooks and the new controlled artists they had. Because the major industries always believed in controlling the marketplace, targeting the audience with what they want. I've had this said to my face, which is by such executives, which is, of course, those are fighting words, right? It's like they might try and, you know, like shock and awe you with that. And it's like you think, no, you just don't get it, do you? It's like, we won't stand for that. Or I fucking won't stand for that. And so Dolly Parton in this interview just said, yeah, well, you know, it happened. It's like, but, you know, if I have to press my own CDs and sell them off the back of my pickup from town to town, I'll do it. He said, whatever just gets my music out there. And I just thought, wonderful. And so-called, there's so much falsehood in music, in the music industry, on both sides of the fence, you know, which is why I do not classify myself as a musician. And I have very few musician friends. And those that I do have are my friends because I respect them. They themselves are artists and true, you know. The rest of them just cocksuckers.
Yeah, and they're just, there's a lot of bullshit out there, isn't there?
Yeah.
There is so much of it. And
now we live in a, you know, we've got to get together in our own sense of focus and in our own heads and our own sense of endeavor and move fast, because nature always finds a way forward. And so now, or some years back, it became easier to record and cheaper. It became easier to make your videos, and you were cutting middlemen out now because you could do so much yourself, right? And then you had social media, so you can just get yourself distributed out there. You don't need a £400 a week PR person.
No,
you know, which is only for those with major label deals. You know, it's like, so you have to bow to them in order to get all the other things that you need to get yourself out there. I think Sex Gang proved different, as did other bands at the time. Southern Death Cult, Virgin Prunes, Theatre of Hate, you know, a whole list of them. And but now social media's been corporatized, and it's now you've got the same villains, but they're pretending to be very street and they're buying likes.
Yeah.
You know, 1 million likes, 0 followers, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just all falsehood, you know.
It is. It's just
a
a
quest
lie.
for credibility. It's like they think you can buy credibility or lie about what you're really about in order to attain credibility.
They're living a lie.
They are living a lie. But you can't lie with music. But the thing is, it's killing a culture. It's killing a subculture, which is so important for the evolution of the human race.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will become, and we are becoming, 1984 and Brave New World together. It's like, we're becoming corporate lackeys. We're becoming consumer slaves. You know,
exactly that.
We're losing the fight. We're selling out in order for trinkets, you know, scraps off the table.
Yeah, and that's what I love about people like yourself, that just you stick to your principles and your ideals, and
there's nothing else to do. I mean,
no one can change that from you, because they can't take that away. I mean, they might try, but
if you give up on that, if you're not living. You're not living. No. You're just existing.
Very true. Very true. But I mean, how are you nowadays with your current lineup? Are you happy with that?
Oh dear God, I don't want to hurt them, but I'll tell you. No, I'm kidding. They are fabulous. John Rigby, Rob Stroud, who was the first drummer I worked with, came back in the fold some years back. And Jerome Alexander. They're a great team. They're all artists in their own right, but previous lineups before, not the first lineup so much, with the exception of Rob. He was the first to join the Sex Gang, and he was always the most loyal, Rob Stroud. But once it came after, Kevin Matthews, Adrian Paulus, Carl Magnuson, Matthew James Saw, Martin Olafson. There's a whole list of them. They're artists in their own right. They're incredible people. They're good people. They're very true to what they believe in, and they believe in music, and these guys, it's come to this now where I believe if you live true, evolution will naturally evolve, and so whatever might have been lacking with others, these guys have it, with all respect to previous lineups, because they were great. But no, the current lineup is absolutely fabulous.
But you've never...
I respect them a lot.
Well, that's the main thing, respect. Respect is a really good thing to have, obviously. But you've never, over the years, you've still kept that same style, even with the different band lineups. You've not lost that. Well, there's been slight changes, but it's still, you still know it's Sex Gang Children. Well, I mean, that probably comes from your voice as well, which is unique.
But the music changes. You should never make the same record twice.
No. But you've never made a boring record, Andy.
It's just about following the music. The music speaks to you if you're prepared to listen, and you think that's how it should be done, or this is how I think it should be done, and you do your best to. It's like interpreting this thing from the universe, whatever. It sounds a bit hippie-ish, but it's true though. It's a language. It's a language that frees us, It puts you in a higher vibration. You can't lie with music. You can. It'll be seen. And it's most people might fall for lies, but when they hear the truth, they know it.
Yeah.
But it's just about getting it out there so people can hear it,
I mean, you're going back 2014, Sunset of Crow.
Ah.
Oh, wow. What a song. What a track. Even the video. And I think you videoed that yourself, didn't you? Oh,
is it kind of like a live or part of a live?
Driving through a city, but with the camera aimed up.
Yes. No. That video was made by a guy called Nick Drivas. He lives in Athens. He's Greek Australian. And he's an author, journalist, musician as well, like an artist, musician. And he's become a friend of ours. And he made that, it's like, just as he asked him, said, yeah, go ahead, Nick, we know what you do is good. And he just felt that, that impulse to make a video for that.
But it went so well with the song. Really well.
I think it was not an obvious track to use. It's not what you'd sort of figure as a single from the album, but I think he made the right choices. I think what he did with it just goes so well.
It does.
And I'm glad that he chose that track. It is an interesting track, from the album. It's not an obvious track, but
I think that was a very good album anyway. And then you had Hollywood Slim, which was another fantastic track, which I loved as well. I mean, but there again, I'm probably biased because I do love your music. Then your last album, History of the Hanged.
Oh, the Died of the Girl one, History of the Hanged, yeah.
Yeah. No, all of the albums you release and the songs you release, they're never dull. They're always, and it's every track. You get albums where you might like 2 or 3 songs from an album, but with yours, it's always been, wow, this is a great song. Oh my God, this one's a great song. And then it's the next one. It's a great song. And it just carries on all the way through the album. And you tend to listen to your album over and over again. It's very good.
I'm glad that it's appreciated, really.
It is. You had Song from the Womb, and I was listening to that one today, and it's awesome again. You really do know how to put them out there. You got Death Mask Mussolini, which was another fantastic one.
covered that track. It was originally recorded. Myself and a guy I used to work with had a side project with called Dirty Roseanne, and a guy from Bologna who I met in '83. And I just heard him. We were out one night with a whole bunch of people, and he was just playing, just tinkling on his piano that was in this bar that we were in. And I just went, what the hell is that? Even though it's something I wrote. He played in a band called Neon, an Italian sort of industrially electro goth band, post-punk. And I just went, that is so beautiful. So, and I just arranged it with him there and then. I said, okay, do this and add this bit and, And then by the end of the night, I just went, this is great. I really like this. And I said, right, tomorrow, I said, find a studio. We're going to demo it. And we did. And then I said, right, find a label, we'll put it out. But so we did another version on a solo album I did. And I was working with this guy in Germany, Ragnar, musician, DJ, mixer. And we did a very different version for that. And then in Berlin, actually, one time I was walking and it's just like this version came to me, a different version, more straight driving version. And I thought, right, that's a Sex Gang version, Sex Gang children version. And years later, with this lineup for the album, Oligarch, we did it. History of the Hanged, John Rigby being my main man on on Oligarch and History of the Hanged, my right hand man on it. It's Captain. He's great, There's he totally applied himself on that, 100%.
That's brilliant. That really is brilliant.
It's
good you've got
his crazy distorted 2 or 3 tracks of bass things going on in Song from the Womb are just fantastic. I gave him an inspiration for it, and then he just he did it. It just, next time I saw him played it, he said, "Do you mean something like this?" I just went, "That's fabulous." Perfect, So yeah, it's important to work with people who really understand where you're coming from, but also that you trust where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And it's like a meeting of like-minded souls, really.
Yeah.
Very important.
That is one of the things that I think that comes across, that you must work together so well to make such quality coming out. I mean, there's no other way. I mean, you can tell it's not manufactured a million miles off.
No, it is all heartfelt. Every person is applying their heart and soul into it, and that is of paramount importance. And but that's why you got to work with people who their sole aim, their whole reason for being in that situation is just the music,
Yeah. For the love of it, and that is it.
It's no self-serving shit. It's just totally, it's just about sort of a challenge of like, wow, this language, this, okay, what can I do with this,
The Sex Gang Children logo, I mean, that's iconic now. I mean, was that your idea?
Well, it was my idea, but it was not, it was just something I saw. My memory stands corrected here, because I always thought it was a symbol a German ace pilot had on his plane from the First World War, or American, I don't know, but it wasn't. It was a French pilot. Now, in Brixton, back in the day, forget Camden. I don't know what reputation you think about Camden, whatever. Forget Camden, punk, goth, and bollocks, Brixton was where it happened. This was a cultural hotspot, and it was full of creative people. Not at first, but they, and one guy I was a friend with, and he lived in the same block as Billy Duffy had a flat in, just around the corner from me. And he used to make stuff for the Imperial War Museum, like design the, and he did stage sets and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, wow.
But he was an artist, right? But so he did, he made the trench set they don't have anymore at the Imperial War Museum, or designed all that, you know, and there are other installations. And he just had all these magazines, which they were clearing out. And he said, you know, do you want them? It's like, you know, I went, yeah, great, you know, like these old First World War, you know. And he was showing me all these books, and one of them, this picture of the Reaper, the running skeleton. And I just went, that is fantastic. I want to use that as a symbol, you know. And he went, yeah. He said, you know, he said, go for it. And I did.
Wow.
But it came from a French First World War pilot.
Oh, that's a pretty impressive idea. I didn't know that. That's good. I've always wondered where that came from. You know, I used to see it going around on the records, on the vinyl. And you should think, that's a great logo. That really is a great logo.
When people used to put stuff on the leather jackets, that was one of the more popular ones.
Yeah.
On the back of everyone's leather jacket, you know.
I used to see that a lot with the running skeleton. Brilliant that was. Your art.
Aye.
It's a very big thing in your life, isn't it, your art?
It was. I mean, music's my art now. So, so yes, it's still the dominating force in my life. It's the reason why I'm alive in this life. And yeah, but painting, you mean? That was my first expression.
Yeah, because a little bird told me you were 4 years old with your first exhibition.
Yeah, almost 4.5.
Wow.
And it was like a proper exhibition, and it was held in Slough Town Hall or something. I think it was like a yearly thing. I don't know. Anyway, but I was the only child in there. The rest were all adults. But that's when I first got into the press, you know, local paper. But yeah, it was, I don't know. It all started when I was in infant school, and I was just busy drawing, and this teacher sort of like looked, you know, sort of looking, and then and I had done these horses with, like, you know, shading and muscle definition, and then he said, he just went, and then he went away. He said something. He went away, and he came back with the head teacher, and they said, "Have you got any more?" And I opened my desk up and went, "Yeah, look, you know." And they were like, "Jesus Christ!" They looked at me and they said, "Do you mind if we keep this for a little bit?" You know, I went, "Sure." And then I don't know, they entered them into this art thing, and it was exhibited along with other artists, you know.
Yeah,
but that was the only child, you know.
But that's quite amazing. They must have been shocked then.
I don't know.
That's just incredible. That's at such a young age.
It would have been good if I'd sold a few, but you know, it wasn't that sort of exhibition. They weren't for sale.
No, but it's still impressive though, isn't it? Wow.
I think it was just really good that they you know, did stuff like that. You know, like you know, feeding the art world, supplying, you know, art, having such things, you know.
Yeah, and recognizing it as well. Not like probably nowadays they wouldn't even recognize it, just overlook it.
But I think it was just you know, sort of like local or artists, not from Slough per se, but from the Buckinghamshire, which is what it was then.
Yeah.
Before it became Berkshire. We go back to the 60s, you know.
And you have a love for foxes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have one when I was little.
Is that the rescue one?
The rescue fox, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a vixen, but I called her Alexander after my first hero, Alexander the Greek, the Greek.
Yeah.
From northern Greece. I used to paint pictures a lot Alexander with Bucephalus, his horse, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember my mother said, Andrea, you can't choose Greek. You can't, she's a girl. You can't call her Alexander. I went, trivial matters. I said, Alexander, you know.
Yeah, you can call a fox whatever you want. They are a beautiful creature, though.
They are. They're very special, you know. And they're so playful, and they understand humans. They are so curious to humans, you know. If ever you come across it, read a wonderful book by Eric Ashby called My Life with Foxes. It explains all there. It's like, and why we hunt these poor creatures, and, you know.
Yeah, I don't personally agree with that whatsoever.
It's part of a, you know, as John Lydon said, the English are quite a hateful nation. It's like, yeah, you know, forelock tugging, you know, serfs. And, you know, it's just part of that ruling class thing, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, it's
the same ruling class that have fucked up every military operation in our history.
Yeah, basically.
Have hijacked the arts now, you know?
Yeah, there's not a lot of anything left as the normal now. It's just being destroyed bit by, well, no, I was going to say bit by bit, but it's more like chunk by chunk now. But no, I just love foxes. I just think they've got this beautiful face. They
Yes.
don't mean any harm at all.
No, they don't.
I mean, what, people kill them because they want some food. That's all they want is food. I mean, we all want food.
You know, sometimes it is said that, well, you know, foxes, they'll kill all the chickens in a hen coop, you know. And it's like, that's because they're clucking and making noise, and the fox just silencing them, shutting them up, you know. They're not doing it out of spite or joy. If a fox is not hungry, it will not attack a chicken or something else if it's not hungry, if it's being fed. Our fox Alexander, my little fox, my mum had a pet turkey, an albino turkey called Alberto. And so we had this big chicken coop for the Alberto. And, you know, Alexander never, you know, went for the turkey at all.
Because she was fed.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If there's food for them, they don't need to hunt, do they?
No.
But no, it's just this horrible attitude of it kills, kill it. Well, nice attitude to have, especially against a lovely creature like that. I mean, they are such a lovely creature.
It's just cruel people, you know. Cruel
Plenty
people.
of them. Plenty of them.
Yeah.
You did some work with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, Andy?
Yeah, in the early days.
Yeah.
It started off with there was a festival, Whitby Gothic Weekend.
Yeah.
Up in Whitby, and Joe Hampshire used to run that, Top Mum Productions. Lovely person. I mean, she basically saved Whitby from dereliction, right, with that festival. She brought industry back in there and, you know, life and commerce, you know. And so anyway, after the death of Sophie Lancaster, there was she was asking people. She decided that they'd have an auction. So she asked people to donate stuff, bands and music, you know, to sell to and to raise money for the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, which was just started. So I donated a load of stuff like stage clothes and some of my art, a couple of boxes of CDs to auction off. But then I kind of got more involved. I got talking with a guy called Martin Oldgoth, a DJ, and he wanted to help. He was involved as well, and I said, look, why don't you put together an album? I said, I know people. I said, I know people who owe me favors, and other bands, musicians, right? Who, when I'd help them, they said, "Oh, you know, we owe you big time. So what do you want?" I said, "No." I said, "I don't want anything." I said, "But one day I might ask you for a favor." And remember that day, right? And so then I did, and most of the bands contributed to, like a track, a recording for as we did, and for this album, and so we put together this album, and the first one for the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, but that's Martin Oldgoth was involved in that as well, and what happened was terrible. Was fucking awful to her, but that thing happens to all types of people up and down the country. But do you know what really got me, Mike? Was another guy who was helping was Kevin Haskins from Bauhaus, right? Okay. And so Martin told me, I said, well, I was back and forth between Berlin and I was living in Berlin at the time as well as London. I was spending most of my time in Berlin, and I was making albums there and stuff. I was in the middle of like 3 albums at the same time. And I said, how's it going, Martin, with the album? He went, well, he said, Kevin's been really trying to help out. But he said they can't get Sony, who bought up some of their back catalogue from Beggars, whatever, I don't know. He said they're asking X amount of money to license this Bauhaus track. And I said, it's a fucking charity record, right? It's like these people live every day looking the way they do. They live it. They don't just dress up before they go on stage or, they're living it. They believe in what the music they listen to. And it's like, and the whole lifestyle that comes with it. And it's like, she died for that. And it's like her boyfriend almost died for it. Yeah. Left for dead. And I said, these bastards are asking for several £100s for to license 500 Red was, I don't know, 300 to license, that. And I was like, who is this person? And I unfortunately, because I was in the middle of stuff, I just couldn't fucking deal with it. But I wanted to storm into their office and say, how fucking dare you, give it up for free, do the right thing. But they didn't. That was Sony Music, So these are the sort of bastards you're dealing with. They're happy to take fans' money, right? Yeah. But
they don't want to help out.
They don't want to help out.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
Yeah. That's the record industry for you.
As if they don't get enough money in.
I know.
That's absolutely disgraceful, though, isn't it, like that?
Oh, I remember it was £200. It was like, it's like, for fuck's sake, it's like, that's nothing to them. They spent that on a lunch expense,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's a lot to, when you're trying to put, and it's for a bloody good cause. It's not for a charity that's run by supervised by some city conglomerate, that are taking 80%. This was a proper charity for a proper cause,
And a really damn good cause as well.
Yes.
I mean, that
girl's mother was going up and down the country, of what needed to try and send messages in schools, of like against hate crimes,
Yeah. I mean, it still almost brings tears to my eyes. And if I do see like pictures and things like that, it does, because it's just heartbreaking that, I mean, it happens. I mean, this kind of attitude towards people who are different always goes on, but not to this extent that this poor girl went to, that they killed her. And she was just trying to save the boyfriend as well. I mean, it's oh my God. And the lack of remorse that these people, I don't know if you want to call them people, really.
I only wish I'd been in prison with them.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have dealt justice. I would have.
Yeah.
Harsh as that sounds, but I fucking would have.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you.
I'm a September Lincoln, you know. I was born hating injustice, really.
Yeah, I don't know how they got away with that, to be honest. I mean, because they did get away with it. They're still alive. They're still walking around. And probably still no remorse. It's just awful. What's the future hold for Sex Gang children, Andy?
We've organised some shows for next year. You know, with the COVID thing, lockdown, it's going to take about another year for everyone on the live circuit to get back to some semblance of normal, right? Yeah. Normality. Because over a period of 3 years on and off, things were cancelled, postponed. So you've just got all this catalogue. The next year, it's like all these 3 years worth of tours and bands trying to, you know, get back onto rescheduling their things, right? Yeah. And so anyway, we're organising shows, albeit it's a little bit slow. And I am going to be doing some solo acoustic stuff with John in Italy and a few places in Europe. Maybe England too, probably. We'll see. But at the moment, I've still got to finalise on these 4 albums I'm working on.
Yeah, I heard you were working on quite a few
solo albums. So, you know, a couple of them are a totally different project, a new project I'm launching called Godman. And of course, I need to finish the book. So yeah, Christmas.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. I really am. Have you noticed that? I know an unfortunate sign of the times, really, that when you try and look for anything Sex Gang children on things like social media, my God, the amount of prompts you get coming up from the censors. This could be illegal. Are you sure you want to venture this way? Are you sure you want to click this link? And it's like, it's a fucking band.
Yeah, I know. It's a different world now, Mike. It's a different world.
It is.
It's an unfortunate thing.
Yeah.
And we've had that problem with the new sort of hipster and corporate organizations. For example, you know, when we started to organize our own tours, which we made much more money on, which was great, more money in the coffers to fight the war. And so one set of venues we had a few years back, one set of venues owned by this conglomerate, right? Fine. But some of the venues, they're happy to take your money, right? Hire the venues. But some of the venues wouldn't advertise the posters that you made. You know, they wouldn't put posters up or list it, whatever. And it was like, you know, that's ridiculous, right? In London, it wasn't a problem. And in one or two other places. But other places, it was a problem. So, and that was because of the name, you know. It's a different world, you know.
Yeah.
And now, you know, to sort of, again, the sort of anti-DIY things that are set in place, it's like Facebook. It's like you have to be a rich kid with a trust fund or with a, you know, a company or management with loads of money to buy likes or to keep sponsoring, you know. Yeah. And it's like you can't DIY as much as you used to unless you've got shed loads of money. So it's coming back to you've got to have a major record deal if you want to get anywhere type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same with a lot of the venues now. They become more corporate. Apart from their prices doubling to higher and going up, you've got to guarantee $2,000, at least $2,000 or 2.5 on the bar that people will spend X amount of, otherwise you've got to cover any shortfall as well as hiring. You know, it's like, where the hell did that come from? You know, it's just become so monetized, corporatized, you know?
Yeah, so they're trying to make money before they've made money.
Look, people are going to buy drinks anyway. They get the bar, you're hiring the fucking venue. It's like, you know.
Yeah. So anything else is a bonus to them.
It's greed. It's just pure greed.
It's greed.
Mike. That's all it is. But what they're going to do is kill the goose that lays the golden eggs, because with bands, it's like they just say, well, fuck it. You know, we're not going to, you know, play those places. Or, you know, But unfortunately, you just have to drive through London. It's like to see a lot of the old pubs with little horns next to them, or even just spaces in there that used to put up and coming bands on. You know, they've closed down over the years. You know, we're going back 15, 20 years now. It started then. They've just been closed down, and they've been made into luxury condos. You know, they're still empty, waiting to be luxury condos, and no one's buying. You know, but they've killed the access, the outlets for bands coming from. You know. There'll be another way forward. There always is. Nature always finds a way forward.
Yeah, there will be. And it is sad. It's a sad state of affairs where places like that don't give anyone else a chance. They don't give the smaller independent or even the larger independents. If you're not part of that big group, it's like, off you go. We're not bothered. We don't want you. They're not prepared to take a chance on anybody either, which is really, really sad. But
when did you start doing this?
About a year and a half ago. No, just over a year ago now.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I love music. Always loved music. And I'm always silly, but well, not silly, but I like helping people in a way that where a lot of people won't talk to smaller bands and things like that. And I used to think there's so many good bands out there that are never heard.
Yes.
And they need a hand, and there's no one there to give them a hand.
So it's not a silly thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course there's no money in it. I don't get paid. I do it just for the love of music, basically. And some people say, why do you put so many hours into it? And because I love music, basically.
It's a labor of love.
Yeah, exactly. It's just literally because I love music and I love helping people, basically.
If you think about the hours that most artists and bands put in to what they do, it's a lot, you know. It's a lot of their time. It's a lot of a build-up compared to money they see, you know.
You know, there's nothing there, is there really? Not really. Especially even when you get like the Spotify streams and whatever, they get, well, you obviously know you get virtually nothing from however many you get. It's just...
That's a slave-like deal, really.
Yeah.
Not one I'm happy with at all. It's slavery.
It is. So I just thought I wanted to do something that helps bands just get noticed and get out there a little bit more, whether it be a smaller new band or a more established band like yourself. And I just think, like, because I've always thought that yourself, you haven't had that mass reach that you should have done.
Thank you.
Well, I've always thought that. I mean, you're a fantastic band. You're a fantastic, I'll say, artist, because obviously that encompasses everything. And I just think that why not help? If I can help, why not? And I think that's something I just love doing.
Lara was very instrumental in saying, you should do this. She got a good vibe from you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was quite surprised when I got to be honest. I was quite surprised that I got a reply because I email a lot of places and you often get no reply.
That's rude.
Yeah, you do get knocked down
Just
quite a lot.
Plain rude.
Yeah. But I've had a couple of replies from like, not necessarily like punk or anything like that, but from big bands that have taken the time to say, yeah, we'll talk to you. That's fine. And you think, oh, wow, okay. But then when I got to you, like I said, I've been a big fan for over 40 years. So getting a reply was like, oh, Andi does want to do an interview. Okay. I was gobsmacked.
Oh, it's a pleasure to do it, really.
Yeah, I mean, and you're such a great guy to talk to as well.
Thank you.
Really, really great. I mean, it's been an absolute. I mean, it's been an honor, of course. I mean, I did tell Lara that today, I've done so many interviews and never been nervous, but I was today because I've loved your music for so long, and it was like almost starstruck, as you could say.
Oh.
But no, you're such but you're such a great guy to talk to, you know, and it's like, wow, it's absolutely brilliant. It really is a privilege to talk to you.
I think communication is the most natural thing in the human psyche. So I don't understand why people find it difficult to communicate. They shouldn't. It's the most natural thing to us, you know. Well,
until literally about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I literally had no confidence to talk to anybody. And I thought, you know, I'm going to put my love of music and my lack of confidence to the test and start doing interviews. So
good for you.
So I broke my mold of not talking to people. So
good for you. Don't let that hold you back.
Well, Andi, I will let you go now, but I tell you something, that's been one of the best conversations I've had for a long time. That's been absolutely brilliant meeting you.
It's been wonderful meeting you too, Mike, seriously. And it was a good conversation.
I loved it. Indeed. And please thank Lara for keeping me up to date with everything you were doing and things like that as well. So I
will talk on a daily basis. So, I'll let him know.
Absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much, Andi. And for now, take good care. Good luck with everything else you do.
And thank you kindly.